I have just had a terrible realization in between part 1 and part 2 of this video. All of those are backwards. I have been stupid and drawn all the waning phases as waxing and all the waxing phases as waning, because I kind of forgot that the moon lights up that way and not that way. But I'm still technically correct, the best kind of correct, because these are accurate if you are in the Southern Hemisphere. So instead of this being a new moon and it illuminating and deluminating like that, like it does in the Northern Hemisphere, it actually does the opposite in the Southern Hemisphere. With, obviously the Southern Hemisphere being on the, it's the other hemisphere, so obviously it's going to be, the sun's going to be on the other side, which is why the seasons do what they do. So you have the new moon here, and this will be waxing instead into the full moon and then waning, which is how I've drawn it, because I'm a fool and forgot how the waxing and waning looked in comparison to each other. So I've essentially drawn the moon phases in the Southern Hemisphere. That's basically what I've done. So it's technically not wrong. I will just have to specify somewhere on my ATCs that these are Southern Hemisphere specific. But it did say to pick the moon phases in an interesting way. No one said that you had to do them in your own hemisphere. No one said that. No one said anything about that. So I win, but I also lose. A winner is you. Yay. Anyway, at least the new moon and the full moon will be correct no matter what. No matter what hemisphere you're in. Just obviously, whatever hemisphere the new moon is in, it'll appear as a full moon in the other hemisphere. So a northern new moon will appear as a southern full moon, and vice versa, a northern full moon will appear as a southern new moon. I hope that made sense. Anyway, so all of those are just, we're not going to talk about them. But I'm still proud of them. And speaking of proud, we get to my favorite evolution, which is Sylveon, the fairy type Pokemon. And, Umbreon being a dark type, I show it with the darkest moon. I show the opposite of it with the full moon. Opposite of dark being fairy, light banishing dark, and also lots of fairy types. I forget if I said this in the first part of the video. I probably did, but if I didn't, I'll say it again. A lot of fairy types. A very well-known fairy type move is called Moonblast, where it's not exclusive to fairy types. It's just a fairy type move. Other Pokemon can use it, just certain Pokemon can't. But a lot of Pokemon can use a fairy type move called Moonblast, where you harness the power of the full moon, and you just start blasting beams of moonlight, and it will just obliterate dark types. It will obliterate dragon types also, because dragon is weak to fairy. So that's why I chose Sylveon for the full moon. The full moon's my favourite phase. Sylveon's my favourite evolution, also my favourite Pokemon. It's the opposite of Umbreon. And, it just all works out perfectly for this. So we have my absolute darling Sylveon. And I like how both of these turned out. I do like the new version better, but I do like the prototype as well. So here's the prototype. We got a nice full moon, and here it is. It's beautiful. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. It turned out really good. The Aries symbol turned out perfect. Obviously, Aries, the sun is still in Aries for the sake of all of these cards, and the moon is now in Libra, which is how we get our full moon. So yeah, that's nothing much to say about this one. It turned out cute. It turned out good. And then this one, with Sylveon being, you can't see it because it's only pink, but Sylveon is actually the colours of the trans flag. It's pink, white, and blue. So we have Trans Pride, yay. I just thought, so if a Northern Hemisphere new moon is a Southern Hemisphere full moon, that means the rules for the symbols being the same, the zodiacs being the same in a new moon and polar for a full moon, would that be the opposite? Well, no, it can't be. Would it be opposite for the... So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I've started confusing myself. I'm not gonna question it too hard. I'm not gonna question whether my new and full moons are accurate anymore. It's just the waxing and waning moons that definitely are Southern Hemisphere specific. So don't worry about it. Just pretend all of those are inverted. Just pretend the light side is the dark side and the dark side is the light side. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm hurting my brain. It hurt itself in its confusion. Anyway, so really like how this full moon turned out. It's very nice. And we got it the colours of Sylveon, so for a full moon, the sun is in Aries, the moon is in Libra. But I guess that would appear as a new moon in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm not going to question that too much. I'm just going to put those away and move on to more incorrect cards. Yay. I could redo them from scratch, but this is all the cards I have. I've used both packs up now. I only got 2. So I'd have to get more. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to finish that before the end of the month. Because I don't remember how long these took to arrive. I could try them again. But I do really like how these turned out, so... Even if they are a little wrong, I love them anyway. So here we have the Ice-type Glaceon. Here's our prototype. Our waning gibbous depicted as a waxing gibbous. But the symbols are still correct. In the Aries season, the waning gibbous moon would mean that the sun's in Aries and the moon is now in Scorpio, and then it passes through Sagittarius. So it'd be like Scorpio at the beginning of the gibbous phase, Sagittarius at the end of the gibbous phase. And then this is our final version, which went horribly wrong, actually. But then it turns out I actually did it horribly right. I thought I did it horribly wrong. And it turns out I did it right the whole time, because I correctly drew a waning gibbous moon, incorrectly thought that I'd drawn a waxing gibbous moon, and then incorrectly rectified it. But it just ended up looking shit anyway, so I restarted it. So here we have our waxing gibbous moon depicted as a waning gibbous moon. But again, the symbols are still correct. It's sun in Aries, moon in Scorpio begins the waning gibbous phase. So regardless of which side is lit up, it's still correct in a sense. So then it leaves Scorpio, goes through Sagittarius, It wanes a little more and a little more and even a little more. And then we get to Flareon, the fire type evolution. And here's our prototype of the third quarter, which is actually showing the first quarter. Because I'm stupid. But this turned out okay. I could have definitely drawn the Capricorn symbol better. But just swap the light around and that's what you get in the Northern Hemisphere. This is what you get in the Southern Hemisphere. Either way, the sun is in Aries and the moon is in Capricorn. At least in the Northern Hemisphere it is anyway. I'm not going to question how that works in the Southern Hemisphere. I don't know anymore. But that's the prototype. And this final version turned out way better. Look at that. That is a perfect Capricorn symbol. And that shit is hard to draw. Okay? Capricorn is not easy to draw. And that turned out so beautiful and perfect. So that's our third quarter, I guess. Why did my phone just flash? That was scary. Anyway. We don't have a prototype for Vaporeon because it went so wrong that I binned it. It just looked horrible. So we have just the final version. The waning crescent moon. In the Southern Hemisphere. The sun is in Aries. The moon is in Aquarius. And then it crosses through Aquarius. Crosses through Pisces. And then it will then go back into Aries. Going back to the beginning. Back into the new moon. And then we end with Eevee. Eevee being the base of all these evolutions. I decided to depict all the moons. Every moon. And we've got Eevee jumping over the moon. And we've got Clefairy getting ready for a good old moon blast. With the power of the full moon there. So yeah, these are all incorrect basically, but they're still correct somewhere. So that's my ATCs for the moon phases. I hope you all enjoyed my shenanigans. But yeah, that is all the phases of the moon. Brought to you by Rebel Space. Whoa.